Hello and thanks for tuning in. I'm Holly Shields, welcoming you all to another edition of Kalkine TV's Executive Corner Expert Talks Canada. Today we're narrowing in on one pioneer biotech company doing some incredible work in developing medications and synthesis processes for the medical psychedelic market. Mindset Pharma is creating novel and patentable psychedelic compounds for the treatment of neurological and psychiatric disorders. And here to shed some light on the emerging space is CEO James Lanthea. Welcome to the show, James. It's great to have you with us.
Hi, Holly. Thanks so much for having me on.
It's a pleasure to have you on. Now, first of all, could you share with us how Mindset Pharma is positioned to capitalize on the massive growth potential of the psychedelic market?
Absolutely. So Mindset is a roughly 3-year-old biotechnology company, and we've been exclusively focused since the very beginning on discovering and developing what we describe as next generation psychedelic medication. So really what we're trying to do is apply the tools of sort of modern biotechnology to these really powerful naturally occurring substances like psilocybin to try to create medications that are going to work, well, predictably, safely for the largest possible groups of patients. And that's been our focus from the very beginning. We were really one of the first group in the psychedelic fields to really focus on novel drugs. One of the first groups to start filing patent applications, and now have done quite a bit of preclinical development work and have really identified a number of different differentiated families. And now Mindset is also the first psychedelic biotech to announce a collaboration with a major global pharma, which we did just a few weeks ago, announcing a partnership with Otsuka Pharmaceuticals, which is really the first of its kind.
That's certainly very exciting. It sounds like you're doing some incredible work there and you've got a lot on your plate at the moment. But my understanding as well is that there's this massive unmet met in the mental health market. Am I correct in saying that?
Absolutely. I think we're all aware that there's and have become more and more aware over the years that there's this really growing mental health crisis and in modern society. And if anything, that's only been compounded by the pandemic. And unfortunately, the backdrop, while this kind of crisis has been building, is that really pharmaceutical companies have really left the field and have really brought very few innovations to treat mood disorders and neuropsychiatric disorders like depression and post-traumatic stress, and that's kind of the backdrop that psychedelic medication is entering into. Is you have huge groups of people who really don't respond to standard treatments and desperately are in need of a solution.
Right, that's, I can imagine that's the case, especially, that's become an issue that's come to light, especially post-pandemic as well. So it's very, very crucial market there, I think. And what is the scope, I would say, of the neurology and mental health market that Mindset is able to address with the products?
Unfortunately for all of us, the number of people who suffer from mood disorders, mental health disorders is enormous and grows year over year. So just to give one example, I think the worldwide, the number of people who suffer from clinical depression is around about 300 million people, and a third of those, so roughly 100 million of 100 million people don't respond to treatments. So it really is an enormous market size. I think that, in terms of dollar value, the antidepressant market, the global antidepressant market, has a huge compound growth rate today. I think it's something like 15 billion. I think by 2030, it's forecast to be, close to $30 billion. So really, unfortunately, really large patient groups and very large market opportunities.
I can imagine that's the case, especially with figures like that. It is a billion-dollar industry, and it's projected to grow even further. So, of course, while it is unfortunate, I would say that Mindset is obviously in a great position there with these innovations that'll obviously really help and tap into that unmet need. And just to touch on earlier, you mentioned the Otsuka deal there. So I'd like to know, in your view, how interested are these traditional large pharmaceutical companies in psychedelics?
I think psychedelic medication potentially offers, patients who suffer from these disorders, a pathway out. And at the end of the day, that's what pharma is looking for as well. I think they've, in a lot of cases, they moved away from the field simply because there was a consensus, a growing consensus that these disorders in some ways were kind of too difficult to treat, or too difficult to create new therapeutics to deal with. Otsuka is very much deeply committed to the psychiatric field. That's really their area of focus. They're a top global neuroscience company. And I think they've certainly kind of blazed the way with this deal. This is the first collaboration between big pharma and a psychedelic biotech, but certainly we're seeing lots more interest from other groups, other pharma companies really interested in Mindset's new drugs. So I'm sure there'll be this won't be the last partnership in the space. And won't be the last for Mindset.
Well, it's very promising to hear. It does actually sound like you have quite a lot in common there in terms of goals. So it sounds like it's a very lucrative and promising deal for you there, especially, I can imagine going forward, you'll have see many more of these similar deals. So it's obviously great to hear there. And, apart from that, are there any particular challenges and opportunities that you foresee facing the Canadian psychedelic industry at the moment?
Well, I would say for Mindset, we really see, tremendous opportunity. Our original vision for Mindset was that, next generation drugs would be really the growth area in the evolving medical psychedelic space because of the ability to patent, new drugs, and also to improve on some of the shortcomings in first generation drugs. And that was what we were focused on from the beginning. I think the Otsuka partnership for us is really, just the beginning. We have a lot more, coming up. I think, we'll be hopefully, selecting a lead compound out of our partnership with them, moving one of our other more advanced compounds, MSP 1014, to clinical trials. Both of those have hopefully by kind of the end of this year, early next. So lots and lots of, and likely more partnerships to come. So lots of, opportunities and catalysts for Mindset. I think that, certainly we expect the space to continue to grow, interest in the space to continue to grow. I think that it will be a challenge for groups that are focused on first generation drugs because of the lack of patentability of those drugs. And I think Mindset has secured a really advantageous position for ourselves in terms of our intellectual property. So, I would definitely expect, more interest to build in the space because I think the interest in finding solutions to the mental health crisis is, universal. Unfortunately, we all know people who suffer from these disabilities or suffer from them ourselves. So I think the appeal of the space is really universal.
I completely with you there. It definitely sounds like you have your work cut out for you, if I can say that. And you've got looks like a very bright and promising year ahead of you. Is there anything else in particular that we can look forward to seeing from Mindset Pharma in the upcoming year?
I think as I was saying, I think you'll see us continue to execute on our plan. Our top priority is advancing, our partnership forward with Otsuka. getting those drugs into clinical trials, and we likely some more partnerships, and yeah, we have lots more upcoming milestones and catalysts to share with the market, and really excited to do so.
It's certainly a very exciting space to be in, and we look forward to seeing all those developments and everything the year ahead has in store for you. So with that, it's been really great to hear insights today, James. Thanks very much for joining us on Executive Corner Expert Talks.
Thanks so much, Holly. Thanks for having me on.
Pleasure to have you on. Thanks for your time as well, viewers. If you've just joined us, that was James Lanthea, the CEO of Mindset Pharma. They're doing some incredible work in the space, so keep an eye out. And as you say here, stay apprised and invest wise with Kalkine.